Let's talk about typography in the digital experience. I know this might seem really nerdy, but I promise it's critically important. There are a number of factors to consider when thinking about typography or fonts. Now, of course, you probably have a brand and you probably have a brand book with brand standards, but I'm here to tell you that those brand standards might cause a lot of problems when it comes to the digital experience. But before we get into those problems which involve licensing, I want to talk about readability. Now, a lot of us can get enamored with the way the beauty of typography manifests and how it can evoke the spirit and personality of a brand. It gets into a little bit of a navel-gazing scenario, and listen, I'm the first one to get there. I absolutely nerd out on typography for all the reasons. But what's really important to remember is the goal is to not only evoke the spirit of the brand, but to do it in a way that does not impede upon the readability, whether that's on your menus and inside the four walls, and of course, your menus and other content on your digital experience, whether it's .com, app, kiosk, what have you. So readability is crucial. I once created a 10-page dip that went over the nuances of a typeface called Brandon Grotesque and why we needed to switch to the more readable version called Brandon Tech. That's how much I care about this. Readable typography is critical to increasing the speed of conversions. That starts by increasing the speed of cognition. If people can read it quickly without interruption or too much pain, they are able to find what they want, when they want, as fast as they possibly can, get it into an order, check out, the end. When you start to have zany typography or wild typography, while it may feel super different in the right ways, it actually creates an impediment to people using your product. Again, kiosk, app, website, and even the menus inside, even the marketing pieces that are printed on the windows or elsewhere. Readability has to be point number one. This is the function of which form follows. So form should still be considered, especially when you're trying to be a unique brand. And oddly enough, I see so many brands using Brandon Grotesque. Why do I dislike that typeface so much? I'll give you a quick nerdy answer. The ascenders, those little legs on lowercase d's and b's, are super high compared to what's called X height, which is the height of your standard X letter form lowercase. What that creates is the need for the type to either be bigger, or when it's actual normal size, it becomes difficult to read because of how small they are. They adjusted that for Brandon Text, where they actually increased the X height, decrease those ascenders to make it more readable on purpose. And that made all the difference in the world. That's how much it matters. So readability is point number one when it comes to the utility of typography. The number two one, and this is something that so many brand leaders and marketing leaders don't quite understand, is typography is licensed like software. Really critical to understand. Fonts aren't free. Someone or people had to design every single one of those letters and numbers and symbols and all of that. It takes time. So they are sold like software, meaning you get a license for 1 to 5 computers. Anything above that, you have to buy another license. So as a brand leader, that means you may have your typography for use by your internal team, but you're going to need licensing for every single one of your agencies. And that's only for desktop print use. Now we get into web use and app use, mobile use, all of that. Those require other licenses. This can stack up and become quite expensive. But again, one of the key things for differentiating your brand from competitors is typography. Even though it doesn't seem that important maybe at first blush, really is. So you be prepared to pay out licensing fees. For web and app, you're looking at traffic, 100,000 views, 250,000 views or more. You're going to actually have to pay for this in order to legally use that typography on your digital products. Additionally, that's not just for all typography. You're going to have to pay for every single typography and usually the weights and variations. So bold, black, extra bold, italics of each of those. It starts to stack up, but it's quite worth it. I promise you. Now, there are some places that you can look to possibly get it for a lower fee, but you really need to read the fine print. Adobe has a fonts platform that traditionally has been used for web products, and it looks like you only have to pay for a subscription fee. However, when you read the licensing fees, you start to realize real quick that you actually have to pay more in order to use that on a website that gets a lot of traffic, like a restaurant website will. And then of course, mobile is never included. You're going to have to pay for that. The other place that you can look is Google Fonts. The licensing there tends to be a lot more lenient and allows for lower cost, if not free usage on web apps and other places. But you are limited in the selection. Finally, the final path is to get a typeface and type family designed for your brand that only you can own. This is the gold standard in my opinion. It's going to take some time and it is going to take an investment. But when you design your own typography, no one else can use it. Now that is creating a brand statement, and also you won't have to pay licensing every year. So you own it, you can build from it, and you can rest assured that nobody else has that typeface because you are the legal licensee and owner of it. That's the place where you should really aim, especially when you're a brand of a larger size. When you're a smaller size, you need to create a chunk of money every year to pay for that licensing fee for web usage. It is something that updates every single year, so it will hit that line item year in, year out. So it's time to do some evaluation. What does your font family and typography family look like? What do the licensing fees cost for you to own and use internally and externally? And then finally, the cost analysis. Is it worth exploring custom typography? Either way, readability is key. Brandability or brand ownership is right there with it as second, a close second. And then after that, make sure you have paid the licensing fees because they will come after you. It's only a matter of time. Type matters. I love typography. Let me know what your favorite typeface is in the comments, or let me know if anything that I missed that you think you should bring up. But do license your fonts. Thanks for listening. Until next time, cheers.